There's another thing I want to do, that I'm going to do is I'm going to tape all these and post these lectures on YouTube. So even if you're not here, you can at least watch them and put yourself to sleep that way. So it'll be late at night and you're anxious, your life is falling apart, the whole country is falling apart, you don't know how to get to sleep, you watch this, in 5 minutes you'll be asleep. Okay, it'll be, people take all these drugs and stuff, there's no reason for that. This will do it. I have another video where I coo, but this is mainly for babies, and so you're not exactly babies anymore, but we'll see. If you still have trouble getting to sleep, I'll coo like, oh, like that. It puts them right to, it's amazing, just amazing. Who else says amazing all the time? And great. Who is that person? Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's amazing and it's great. I don't have any kids, by the way, thank God. Okay, so this is an introductory biology course for non-majors. We're going to talk about first what science is, and then we're going to go through a bunch of things. I don't have the Moodle page up yet. I was, the whole break I was up at a friend's ranch in the Sierras, and I got snowed in, so I just got back. It was lovely, by the way. It was really nice. The food was great, good food. Split a lot of wood, all sorts of different crazy things. So anyway, I'll share that with you later. The course, there's going to be a couple of charges that you're going to have to pay for. So we're going to go through those. We'll go through everything one at a time. Now, there's kind of like, you guys know what clickers are? Okay. There's kind of like that. It's where you, if I put stuff up on the board and on this, and I ask you a question, you have to answer it, right? The ones that I'm using are called Top Hat. It costs $20. So you're going to have to shell out some money. Now, if you don't have the money, you can go rob a bank. I do that because they don't pay me enough. But I don't, it's kind of like hunting your own covey of quail, the neighborhood covey. You don't do that. It's just not right. You go somewhere else and hunt someone else's covey. Well, the same thing goes with banks. It's better to go to a bank that's far away instead of a home bank, because it's more likely you'll get caught, right? So if you're going to do a bank, I go to Winnemucca myself in Nevada. I used to live in Nevada. The only trouble with Nevada is everybody has guns. What can you do? So you're going to get Top Hat. I'll give you the instructions, not today, the next class, on how to sign up. And then we'll start practicing. To use Top Hat, most people use like a smartphone or a tablet, whatever it is. If you don't have a smartphone, you can still use a cell phone. You just have to dial a number so you can actually answer. And as you'll see, there's going to be, I don't know, total about 200 different questions through the semester. You get half a point for answering it, and another half a point for answering each question right. And during the class, I'm just going to ask a few of those questions, just to see that everybody's kind of thinking the same way. So that if it's obvious people aren't quite catching on to what I'm talking about, then maybe I can find a better way of explaining it. Um, and as we'll see in terms of the point structure, Top Hat is going to be worth 50 points of your grade. And as long as you answer 50 correct out of those 200, you'll get the full points. Really easy to get 50 points. Okay? Of course, if you don't answer those questions, then you won't. So, I don't think I'm using a textbook. I've used this these kind of short chapters that we've developed, and because textbooks are expensive, but I'm not sure about that yet. So if you've bought a textbook, I think there's one associated with the class. Hang on to it for a second, but you might take it back. I haven't decided yet. We're going to go through biology. You really can't cover, obviously, biology in a semester. But I think what I really want to do with this class is try to get people to think about science and the scientific method per se. And we're going to talk about that later today, about scientific method and perhaps what it is and what science is. Science, for one thing, I just want you to know, science never proves anything. You probably heard that it does. It doesn't. It's good at disproving something that's not true, but it's in terms of, you can never actually get a proof that something is actually really true, because, you know, there might be genies or something, or imps running around that do things that we think are really for all we know, we could be living in a hologram. In current physics, they've talked about a holographic universe, and if we're in one, we wouldn't know it anyway. So we really can't deal with things kind of like that. But what we can do is we can give, in science we give probabilities. Or likelihood. There's a high likelihood, let's say, that something is more true than something else, right? But we don't go around proving things, just so you know. Okay. So I've talked a little bit about Top Hat. Then there's another thing that you're going to be doing. There's a program called Simutext, and they have a bunch of different modules. And there's simulation exercises. And they're good at explaining things because you're doing things with them and going through the whole process and actually seeing things in front of your face than hearing me talk about it. So there'll be 4 of these. 3 of them will count for class points, and then there'll be 1 for extra credit. Okay? These are going to cost $20. Is it 20? Yeah. $20 a piece. Okay, for each of you. So they're $5 a piece, I think. And I'll give you instructions, probably in the next Thursday, let's say, about exactly how to sign up for it. And then that's it. No more money. Okay? So this is what the welcome email is going to look like, which you'll get next week, and we'll go through it specifically or this Thursday, to get you all up to speed. There's going to be exams. Isn't that a bummer? I hate them. I always hated exams. I just, they made me sad. Now, granted, they didn't make me as sad when I give them compared to when I got them. But they still, even now, when I give them, make me sad because some people just don't do all that well on them. Usually because they don't really study. Some people kind of like blow things off. For a lot of different things. So, but if you, you can make up a lot of points in general because of these other exercises that you do. Like Top Hat, answering all those questions, and Simutext. You can't, like Simutext, you can't get less than a B if you answer all the questions. You just can't. Whether they're right or wrong, you can't get less than a B. Okay? So, it's a good way to bring up your grade. Let's say if you, the first test you get, I don't know, a D. No one's going to do that, I know, but just in case. Okay? So there'll be a way for, there are going to be enough points by the end of the semester that there's no way anybody shouldn't pass this course. Now that being said, unfortunately there's going to be people that fail. But mainly because they just blow things off. So if we look at the grade, the course grade, okay, there's a midterm 1, and then midterm 2, a midterm 3. They're each worth 40 points. And then there's a final worth 55 out of 300. The Top Hat questions are worth 50 points total. And then the 3 symbios are worth 25 apiece, and then there's a symbio extra credit, and that's worth another 15. Okay? Now, this is what's going to happen, though. It happens every semester. People think that they can kind of blow off the Top Hat, or they can blow off a symbio, and then they realize at the end of the semester that, oops, they blew it, and they come to me. Some of them start crying. I don't like crying myself. It makes me sad. But it makes you sad even worse. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it again, probably Thursday and again, but when the first symbio is actually due, I guarantee you there will be people that will not be able to turn it in on time. Or they won't even try. And then they'll cry later on. So the deal is, if you get it on time, and there'll be a Moodle page, I don't have it exactly all set up at this point, but it will be very shortly. It'll show exactly when things are due. I'll also hand out a schedule or send you a schedule that you can get on Moodle as well about when things are due. In terms of symbio, if they're due and they're late, let's say the first week, you'll lose 20%. The second week, you'll lose 50%, and after the second week, you won't get any points whatsoever. Okay? If you have a problem, you should email me about anything, not just symbio, anything at all. The symbios are really self-explanatory, but the first one, I'll bring it up and we can start out and you'll get a handle on what's going to happen. But they're very simple. But they're very useful in explaining things. Like the first section is going to be Darwinian snails. It's all about evolution. And I can talk until I'm blue in the face about evolution by natural selection, and I'm going to talk until I'm blue in the face. At which point, if I'm on the ground, is there anybody in here going to be a doctor? Okay. Anyway, just pound on my chest. The symbio, like Darwinian snails, will help you understand, because it's not just answering questions, it's actually going through a simulation to actually see what happens in terms of evolution. Okay? So, in terms of the symbio, make sure everybody does them. Also, you don't have to do it all at once. You can do portions of it, and then it'll remember everything that you've done, and then finally you'll be able to submit it. Each time you'll submit what you've done, and then you'll resubmit it until the last time, and that'll be your score, and I'll figure it out for you. But if you wait until the last minute, of course, you're going to freak out, and then you're not going to get it done in time. God, I feel like a high school teacher. Where's I don't have a usually there's a big stick that I can hit people with. Okay, I'll bring my my sword. Okay. So, and then in terms of the grade, what is an A and what's a B? First of all, you can get an F if anything below 55%, pretty low. And then you can see what a D is, 55 to, or D minus is 55 to 50, almost 60. A D is 60 to 65. A D plus is 65 to 67.5, and then C minus. So the same sort of thing is happening, like with a C. If you get 70% or higher, you're going to get a C up to just under 75. At 75, you get a C plus. 77.5 at a B minus, and then a B is 80 to 85. It goes all the way up like that. So it's very easy to get a decent grade on this class. It really isn't hard, I swear, because I give you so many opportunities. But if you kind of blow it off, then of course you're going to have problems. Now, of course, there are some people I've had in class that they never show up. They, except for the test, they come in, they actually do all the assignments, and they get it all right. But most people don't. So I guess you could try that if you wanted to yourself, but anyway. So now, withdrawals. You can withdraw from the class anytime in the first 3 weeks. Make sure you do, though, if you withdraw. If you just stop coming to class and you don't withdraw, you'll still be on the rolls, and then at the end of the semester you'll get a non-authorized withdrawal, which is like an F. So don't do that. You have to actually withdraw. If you find out after the 3rd week that something comes up, like when you've gone to rob the bank in Winnemucca or something like that, and you've been shot, and you're not dead, could you please send me an email? And you can withdraw for a medical reason like that after on the 4th week on. Okay, so if you get shot trying to rob a bank to get the money to pay for Top Hat and Symbio, then you can withdraw. Now, if you're doing not so well in the class, you can't withdraw. I know it'd be nice if you could do that. I think, let's see, what does it say here? Okay. Also, if you have, let's say, a family emergency, you can get a withdrawal. Now, usually, though, anything past the 4th week, or let's say the end of the semester, let's say you've had a medical emergency, usually you're going to end up get a withdrawal for the whole semester, all the classes that you took, and not just individual ones. But it really has to be kind of a serious problem. If you don't, if you have problems, you have questions, anything like that, you should ask me. I mean, you should email me. Don't wait and think, oh, I think I understand. I would like everybody to actually read this syllabus so they understand exactly what's going on. I'm also going to post this, I'm recording it, so on YouTube, so you can refer to it and put yourself to sleep. But I want to make it so that you feel you can come in and talk to me, or I have office hours, by the way. They'll be starting at 2 o'clock, I think. Yeah, 2 o'clock on Tuesday. If you can't make that, you can certainly reschedule. Just email me, and we'll get you in whenever I have a chance to get you in. Okay, so it's not like if you miss my office hours, you can still get a hold of me and we can discuss things. Usually, in the beginning, students are a little, they're a little confused. But once things get going, everybody should be okay. Okay. Now, accommodations. So students with disabilities, if you require special testing, they have a test center for students with disabilities. Those students usually, they take the same test. They usually get more time, whatever it is. The tests that I give should be fairly easy to complete within an hour and 15 minutes. But even if you don't complete them, I usually, there'll be a few hangers on and I'll give you extra time. I don't want people taking a test to see how fast they can do a test. I want to see it kind of like what you're understanding and what you're not. In other words, if you're not understanding stuff, it means that I'm not explaining things to you very well. And then I'll really be sad. Okay? So, also, if you take a test in class, you can always ask me questions on, let's say, words that I use that you don't understand, or you don't understand a question, or something like that. So in class, that means during the test, you can ask me a question, and then I'll give you the answer. I mean, it's really easy. Just ask me, and I'll give you the answer, or I won't. Now, usually what I'll do is, with a question, if you don't understand a word, I'll explain it to you, but unless you're supposed to understand that word. But usually I'll ask you another question that has to do with the question to kind of refresh your memory. All the tests, unfortunately, are going to be multiple choice. Anybody in here like multiple choice? Okay. Anybody not like multiple choice? Okay. So you and you, I'll let you do essays instead.
Take-home essays?
What?
Take-home essays?
Yes. Open book. Then I'll use those essays when I have trouble falling asleep. That's better. That way you can see this better, not that I don't want to see people in the first row. Okay? Of course, I might not want to see some people in the first row, but I don't know that yet. I'll find that out. Oh, academic dishonesty. Yeah. Does it? You know what that means? Cheating. Okay. Now, cheating is not actually as bad as you think it is. Here's why. I'm an evolutionary biologist. And this is just really quick. There's a lot of antagonistic interactions between living things. Antagonistic means against each other. Like if I had that stick and I hit you over the head, I'd be antagonizing you over the head, and then you'd get mad, right? So an antagonistic relationship is plus minus. That means if I hit you over the head, I get something because I enjoy that. And for you, you suffer. It'd be like a predator-prey relationship. The predator eats the prey unless the prey escapes. Okay. Now, in evolution, though, there's coevolution. That means when you have two partners, each trying to get a win and not a loss at the expense of the other. That's called a zero-sum game, like a nuclear war, where someone wins, someone loses, and the losers usually, they'd be better off if they really lost, because it's kind of like then they have to live in that world. Okay, so the antagonistic relationship between me and you is antagonistic in a sense, even though I sound nice and, doesn't look like I'm going to beat anybody up. Anybody big dudes in here? You're big. How big are you? Height.
6'1.5".
That's good. Okay. You're going to be my protector. Okay? So if people get mad at me, they're going to have to deal with you. Okay? Good. Okay. What's your name?
Pat.
Pat?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. Oh, by the way, my name is Mo. I have a longer name. It says Maury back now. No, just call me Mo. You can call me Dr. Mo, but no, just I don't like all that, formalities. Yeah, I'm not a formal guy, except when I wear tux. And because I like going to proms. Okay, so Pat, thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, now back to cheating. Now in a predator-prey, we'll get to that, like a cheetah and a gazelle. If the cheetah gets the gazelle, he wins. If the gazelle escapes, he wins, and the cheetah's hungry and just wasted a lot of energy. Okay? Now, that's called, it's called selection. The gazelles are imposing selection, natural selection, on the cheetah to go faster and faster and faster. The faster the cheetah can run, the more likely he's going to catch a gazelle. The cheetah is imposing selection on the gazelle, and if he goes faster, it means that the faster gazelles escape and live another day and go on to breed. The same thing with you. When you cheat, or let's say you try to cheat and you don't, and I catch you, so you get an F. There's pretty strong selection on you, either not to cheat, or if you're going to cheat, not to get caught, like the gazelle. So this is kind of like coevolution, the same sort of thing. You can try to cheat, and if you get away with it, good for you. But if you don't, then kind of good for me. Anyway, that's just a little Introduction to Evolution, because we're going to be getting to that. But try to not cheat. There's not really a reason to, but if you do cheat, don't get caught. Okay. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, all the lectures are going to be recorded and posted on YouTube. So I want you to try to come to class, but if you don't, you can still at least watch the lectures. The top hat, a lot of times I just ask the top hat questions in class and then shut it off. So if you don't come to class, you don't get a chance to actually answer the questions. But I've been more and more, I don't really want to do that. I've been more and more making it like, okay, we answer some in class, but there'll be others in that for homework or the same ones. So I'll leave top hat open and those questions for, let's say, until the next week. Then I'll close it. And if you don't answer them by then, you don't get a chance. But remember, all you need is to answer 50 of about 200 questions right, and you'll get the full points. But the top hat, so the top hat is really for me to get a handle on what's sinking in and what isn't. Let's see. Oh, you know, the classroom community. Be nice to your fellows, and if you don't, then Pat back there will take care of it. Okay. Equity and diversity. All kinds of people in this class. I'm not one of those people that voted for the other guy who won. Okay, so you're pretty safe in here, unless you're white. No, you know, anyway. You get the point. Everybody in here is fine. You're going to get what you're going to get. You're going to do as well as you can. If you're not doing well, come to me and I'll help you. I don't care who you are. Now, a lot of people are afraid of coming to me because they think I'm dangerous, especially with Pat around. But during my office hours, he won't be there. Okay? Unless someone beats me up during my office hours, and then he might be there after that. So I just want to make sure that everybody feels like, really, I will help all of you equally. Very few people actually come and talk to me for some reason, which is kind of, I kind of get lonely actually. I like it when students come in and talk to me. They usually, if they do, come in and talk to me, let's say about something they don't understand, that's the best. Usually a lot of times, people, they don't want to ask a question because they don't want to look like they don't know an answer. I don't really like answers. I like questions better. Questions, that means you have a chance to learn something new. And answers, that means, oh, you think you understand something. So there's a lot of people, in fact, in life that like answers, and they pretty much go through life like with all these rules. And then there's other people that, you know, question things all the time. And if they're in another country, they get put in jail for it, but not in this country, supposedly. Okay. Now, let's see, what else? Oh, yeah. There's some stuff going on in a lot of campuses that are kind of unfortunate. Has to do with free speech. There's, anybody hear of what the trigger warning is? That means, supposedly, I'm supposed to tell people ahead of time when I talk about things that might make people uncomfortable. Like what I just did. when I just said, white people I'm going to discriminate against white people, right? Now, I should have given a trigger warning saying, this is a joke. But that's really not funny, is it? A joke is a joke. It works because it's a joke and you don't know it. You don't know what I'm going to say. And there's, in fact, it's kind of interesting. Oh, God. No, we still have ways to go, don't we? Yeah. Okay. We go until when? 12:15? Good. Okay. Okay. I guess the people, sometimes different colleges, they invite bands to play, like we do here, comics, things like that. And I guess on the college campuses now, comics, they have to kind of turn in what they're going to talk about, because we don't want to get anybody feeling bad about themselves. So instead of being exposed to all sorts of different ideas, some of which are really unpleasant, let's say, we're not supposed to do that, or we're supposed to give a trigger warning, and so that if this is going to bum you out, you can actually get up and leave, which is really kind of bad, because then you kind of feel like everybody's looking at you, and I just don't think it's good myself. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go around berating you, picking on you individually for the way you look, the way you talk, unless I've had a really bad day before. Okay. But in general, no, I'm pretty easy about that. But I'm going to talk about certain things, just up front here, that are going to be difficult. Well, I don't know if it's difficult. For example, sex. Anybody in here like sex? No way, okay. Anybody not like sex? Okay. Now, it turns out, in terms of evolutionary biology, the only thing that really matters in life is sex and death. That's it. The more sex you have, the better, and the more you can put off death, the better. It's not good to mix sex and death, though some animals actually do it. It's weird, we'll get to that. But we're going to talk about sex, because when we talk in evolution, the coin of the realm, that means what counts as far as resources, we'll say, is the number of offspring someone individually leaves in terms of all sorts of different kinds of organisms, from the lowly bacteria to an elephant, whatever. You basically want to have as much sex as you can, and leave as many offspring so that your genes go on to the next generation. Now, that might freak you out. Now, of course, as humans, we don't have to do that. We can actually say, oh, we only want 2 offspring. Or someone like me, I don't have any, I'm Uncle Mo, to a bunch of kids that grow up and beat me up. Pat, it's going to be, oh, he left. Uh-oh. What happened? Oh, God, I'm afraid now. I might have to get another heavyweight in here as number 2. Anyway, so we are going to talk about sex. I just want you to know that. Now, we're not going to talk about sex in terms of right or wrong. There is, in evolution, let's say, there is no right or wrong. It's just the number of offspring. Actually, bacteria don't have sex, so it's reproduction. But you get the point. That's what it's all about. Humans have decided that, no, it's not really. It's, let's say, the quality of life and all that. Okay, then that's fine, absolutely. But when we talk about evolution, that's the coin of the realm. and you really want to leave as many offspring as possible, or one offspring that's super, right? Now, I used to tell people in the class at that time, have as much sex as you can with everybody in the class, starting right now. And so I didn't say that. There you are. Okay, good. I got worried. Okay. Good. That's better. We were talking about sex, by the way. Yeah. Luckily, I'm recording this so you can see what you missed. Okay? Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about things like that. We're also going to talk about things like, cancer, which is a bummer. In fact, actually, the whole death thing is a bummer, right? I think it's a raw deal. Don't you? I mean, it's just a raw deal. Now, maybe not. If you grew up in Darfur in Sudan, you'd be better off dying in childhood and not going through a terrible life than actually. But anyway, I don't like death. I think it's a raw deal, and I'm really against it. So it doesn't seem to matter whether I am or not. But we're going to be talking about things like that. And I'm going to be saying things that are probably going to be inappropriate, like I already have. Okay? Some people, now, when I once told a class, anybody who gets pregnant by the end of the semester gets an A. Okay? And I didn't mean just the women, I meant the men too, right? But anyway, someone called me on it, and I got hauled in about saying bad things. But I was saying it because I was trying to explain what evolution is about, which is fitness, evolutionary fitness, which is the number of offspring you create and how well you survive, the longer you survive. So that's what we talk about when we talk about evolutionary fitness. It's all about sex. And so I was trying to get a point across. It wasn't really true that anybody who got pregnant got an A, except for one girl who did. But mainly because she actually earned it. Okay? But anyway, I got in trouble for that. Once the person who talked to me about it realized that I was making a joke, she laughed too. And that was kind of the end of it. But just realize, usually I say things to make a point about something you should pay attention to. And some of those things are funny, but some of those things are funny, ha 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 ha, kind of, right? So I just want you to know what's kind of going on. That's why there's this, gender discrimination and sexual violence. So obviously, I'm not going to put my hands on anyone. When you come to my office, the door will be open, unless I close it. But this school actually has a policy where you can go and make a complaint about me. So just so you know, it's not like you have to. It's anonymous. You can say, Mo is an asshole, and he's doing these things, and we don't like him. So you can do that. That's fine. I can take it. I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a bio. I actually grew up in Los Angeles, and then I left for a long time. Then I came back. I actually, when I first went to college, a long time ago, I'll show you a picture of what I looked like later. It'll be interesting. It was during the 60s, right? Drugs. Yeah. Okay. I used to be 6'2" with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I was a shallow surfer dude. And then it was drugs that did this. Turned me into a short little Jewish guy, right? I still surfed. It was still shallow. But that's what drugs can do. It doesn't fry your brain. Eggs, you can fry eggs, but you can't fry your brain. But you can certainly have a large effect on who you are. Just look at me. Okay. Now, when I first went, I was first interested in cinema or in films, and I actually became a film editor for 20 years. But I got bored. Also, they paid me way too much money. So I was film editor. I cut films, TV shows, movies, things like that. And then I decided I always loved biology. Also, there was another thing. Back in the day, if you were into biology, it was hard to get girls. It was. Back then, women were discouraged in terms of becoming scientists and stuff. Some still are now, but there's a hell of a lot more women in science. And there's all this phooey about women can't do mathematics. Give me a break. I mean, I know so many women that are so much better at math than I am. So all that kind of stuff is phooey. Okay? But as you can see, I thought, well, there's no girls in these classes. So I decided to go start trying to make movies. And if you point a movie camera at someone, they get real interested. And so that was the way to get girls. I mean, I think that's why guys just pretty much do anything. It's not to make themselves better. They just want to look good. Okay? And women probably too. This is gender discrimination, isn't it? Okay. But anyway, so I was a film editor, and then I went back to school to become a biologist. And I did. I was, I don't know, almost 40, and I went back to school. I first went to Humboldt State up in Northern California, and then I went and actually got a PhD at University of Nevada. I'm into what's called seed dispersal biology. These are mutualisms where, let's say an animal, let's say you and I were hungry, I'm hungry, and I decide, I'm going to eat an apple. I eat an apple, the whole thing, not just, I don't spit out the seeds. I poop it out later somewhere else. The apple tree actually gets a benefit because it's away from the parent into, let's say, a new area. And another tree comes up. Now, I don't know that I'm doing that, or an animal doesn't know, I'm helping this plant. No, he's saying, this fruit is good, I'm eating it. Okay, the plant, of course, has to spend resources on this. Let's say making a fruit. And so the animal will come along and do it, and then it gets a benefit as well. That's called a mutualism. We'll learn more about that later. But that's what I was interested in the evolution of mutualisms like that. And even in certain situations, I was dealing mainly with rodents and seeds instead of the actual fruit. And rodents are funny. They like to bury things. And then they come back later and dig them up and eat them. Birds do this too. A lot of things do it. Even crocodiles do it. They capture someone. They then cache them underneath a bank and come back later to eat them. It's a big deal in Africa. So if you go to Africa, Nile crocodiles are dangerous, and you might end up that way. Okay, so animals have really good spatial memories, and so that's the kind of thing I was interested in. And because I'm weird, I don't know why. Anyway, so somehow I became a college professor, and that's why we're here now. I'm thinking of going back to film editing. The money's not very good, and robbing banks is dangerous. Okay, now, let's get on with